First and foremost, we started from here, and you'll notice that the carpet on this upper part of the platform and the lower part is exactly the same. When you're standing here, what happens is visually the edge of this step is no longer in your sight line. It does not, you cannot necessarily see the depth. It becomes a trip hazard. So from a maintenance standpoint, it's about making sure that we mark the edge with some small strips of tape and checking to make sure it stays there. That's how we avoid that. We see this a lot, not only in children's staging, but also on main worship center platforms and any staging and youth centers and stuff. Think about lighting conditions. How does it feel? Can I see the step? Knowing I've got lights in my eyes, I'm paying attention to stuff, and how, as a facility steward, can I minimize the risk as best I can? Now, as we come forward onto the stage, we're going to pan to my right, we're going to pan to my left. First, to my right, you'll notice up there is a exit light and sign. But before we get to that, I want you to notice everything that is now in our way to get to that emergency exit. We have cords, we have a table, we have power strips, we have a traffic light, we have cardboard, and then we get to the door and we have a partially obstructed fire alarm pull station. Obviously, any egress route, even if it's, quote, backstage now, has to remain clear. We're looking for a minimum of 32 inches. We also have to realize all of this material stored here is a fire hazard because this is all flammable and this increases our fire load in this area. Part of our preventative and planned maintenance activities is these guys right here. These are emergency exit lights and sign. So this is a combo unit. And this one has some tags on it for inspection. But we see here, this has a green light, so we know it's getting power. Right next to that is a button marked test. So what do you think we do with it? Like anything, we like to push buttons. And so we push the button. And you'll notice that it came on. And that's what we want to see. When we hit that test button, it removed the power. And then it had to rely on the battery backup in there. Those emergency exit lights, by NFPA standards, are supposed to be inspected 11 months. In 11 months, you do a 30-second test. You just push the button, time 30 seconds, make sure the battery's good. Once a year, you're supposed to do the 90-minute test, and that's remove power to the device, and it should remain lit for 90 minutes. It doesn't have to remain full foot candles for 90 minutes, but it should be lit after 90 minutes. If not, it's time to replace the battery. But we know this is an egress route. There's an exit sign there. It is not accessible. Pet peeve that I want to talk to you real briefly in a moment is this extension cord right here. We see this a lot. You've seen these a lot. You may have them in your house. If you do, throw them away. I don't like these extension cords. Why? The gauge of this wire, this is very thin gauge wire. This is 16 to 18 gauge, which does not handle necessarily the amount of current that goes through there. And if you look at here, what do you see? You see, or maybe the better question is what do you not see? And what you don't see is ground plugs. So this is a non-grounded, thin wire extension cord, the blue wire cords of death. These are not designed to handle the weight. It's braided wire in here, but they easily crush. They easily can have their insulation pulled off. This is not ideal nor recommended for a commercial environment. If you have these in your church, get rid of them. It's a small investment to upgrade your protection to reduce the risk of electric shock, fire, or damage in your building. So please get rid of these and get proper ones. Now we're going to pan to my left. And when we pan to my left, we're going to see the same issue that we had, slightly different stuff, but we've got an obstructed access to our egress route. We're looking for, again, minimum of 32 inches. But we have here, we have the same issue. We have a step here that is not clearly marked. So in the event of an emergency, we're not only blocked from getting off quickly if the fire was behind us and we're having to move out, or it's not just fire, it's any emergency. And then we're tripping down the step. We're tripping on the extension cords that are here randomly. And then we still have items physically blocking the door. Partially, yes, but still not good. And we also have a partially obstructed fire alarm pull station. This is what we have to be able to have access to do that. And then let's check to see, is this light in good condition? Nope, and that's why we do the inspections. Again, it's been marked. It was inspected back in 23 based on this sign, but the battery's not, I've got green light, so I've got power. I push the battery, I make sure I'm removing power. You'll notice that this didn't change and those lights didn't come on. That means there's no battery and it's not functioning correctly, and that needs to be addressed.